All right. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you had a great Christmas break as we head into the new year. Still got a few days here, so enjoy. But really, this morning, just want to do a quick Bitcoin rundown based on some new information that came out. So, real quick, this morning, we're going to take a look at this video that you see from Fox Business, from the posted by Cointelegraph, talking about Bitcoin, and then also this Bitcoin Depot article about major Bitcoin wins in 2024 and what to celebrate there. So, one thing I want to, before we get into the video, just want to say really pay attention to the commentators' just sheer, what I would call, lack of understanding of Bitcoin and fear factor that's involved. And then listen to the Mr. Popliano, who truly knows what he's talking about. And you'll just see a drastic difference. And I think that difference is why so many people miss out on these types of opportunities to create generational wealth. I mean, it's truly remarkable if you listen to the different, just the tone and the way the questions are presented. It's just, it's amazing. Uh, but again, I keep saying this in other videos as well, but I truly believe that this is one of the greatest times to be alive because we truly get to be involved in and partake in one of the biggest transformational changes that you could ever imagine in a lifetime. And it doesn't come around that often. And that is the changing of the monetary system and the financial system. And I think that's what we're beginning to witness. Again, Bitcoin came out in '09. So this is what, almost 15 years later. And, to me, we're just beginning. And people look at this price and they're going to get scared and say, well, it's going to fall, and they're going to say, well, I'm going to get back in at 70,000, and guess what? It never comes. So you continue to miss out and you continue to miss out. But we'll listen to the video. Again, none of what we say is financial advice. We don't tell people what to buy or sell, but we do share our experiences on our journey. We'll look at some Bitcoin charts today briefly because it's kind of confirming what we've been saying the last couple of days. So let's listen to this. We'll look at that Depot article and then we'll look at the chart. All right.
That's really the decision they have to make.
What do you say to people who say it has had a massive run? It's Panama Canal. Here.
Let me start over. Sorry.
President-elect Trump setting his sights on acquiring not just one, but multiple strategic locations, such as Greenland and the Panama Canal. Here with us now, Anthony Popliano, Professional Capital Management founder and CEO. And you say he should also be looking at buying as much Bitcoin as possible. Why?
Well, if you think about what he's trying to do here, right, is he's basically looking at strategic reasons to acquire physical property in order to advance the American ideals, ethos, and strategies. Well, what about the digital world? We live in a digital world. And so if you're going to go after the Panama Canal, there's obviously strategic reasons to do that. Greenland as well. Owning Bitcoin is digital real estate. There's only 21 million that will ever exist. We know other countries are mining, buying, holding Bitcoin. And so are we going to let these other countries be the leader, or are we going to be the leader? And I think that's really the decision they have to make.
All right. There's your first stopping point. And I think that's what is going to start Bitcoin game theory is, what country is going to be the first to print their fiat in exchange for Bitcoin. So getting rid of a declining asset for an accretive asset. And you just heard fiat leak alert right there. We'll look at that in just a minute. But I think this is the beginning. So we'll keep going here.
What do you say to people who say it has had a massive run? It's, mentally, it's difficult to kind of get on board at these levels when we know where it's been. And we've also seen that volatility. Somebody very smart told me, well, take 2% and just money that, you're willing to risk and put it in. I still find that difficult to do.
God, and before he even comments, man, mentally, it's hard to get involved when you see where it's come from. To be honest, it doesn't really care it doesn't really matter where it's come from. It's where it's going. So I hate that type of messaging. But here we go.
You go back to the 1980s or 1990s, buying the S&P 500 was real scary, but you were a genius if you did it in hindsight. And so same thing here with Bitcoin is you can look backwards and see how high it rose. But if you look forward and say, well, if this continues, which we have every reason to believe it will, buying today is the second best time to buy because the first best time was yesterday. And if we keep waiting, it's only going to get worse and worse. And so I think
I hear you. It's just hard to pull the trigger.
Of course, and that's true of all financial assets, right? I mean, think of a real estate market. People will go and they'll say, oh my God, I could have bought 5 years ago. Now it's at this price. I just can't wrap my head around that. Well, if you wait 5 more years, the dollar is going to continue to be devalued. And so usually if you decide, hey, I want to own something, go ahead and buy it.
Anthony, crypto investors and crypto companies are obviously very excited about a Trump presidency. We now know that Coinbase, Kraken, Ripple, and MoonPay have all donated money to the Trump-Vance inauguration. What does the Trump-Vance time in office over the next 4 years, what has that done to the trajectory of where Bitcoin could go?
Well, I think about 50% of the value they bring to the table has already been captured because really it was just awakening America to this idea that technology is good, business is good, free markets are good, capitalism is good. Bitcoin is the most free market asset that we have. And so out of nowhere, we went from a world where I think a lot of people were saying, hey, is the future actually brighter than the past? To now they're saying, oh, wait a second, we are going to put business-oriented people into the White House and into the administration. Let's go, right? And so you hear things like it's morning in America, people saying it's time to build, et cetera. Now, what I do think is interesting about these businesses is it's actually showing not that crypto is different, it's that crypto companies are the same as non-crypto companies. If you look at Amazon and Facebook and many others, they're also donating $1 million to this inauguration fund. And so it used to be a world where there was kind of like the adults in the room and then the crypto little kids were playing kind of in the corner. But now all of a sudden you're realizing that these crypto companies are showing up and they're saying, look, we are no different than these big multi-billion dollar, $100 billion companies. We also are going to donate. We have a seat at the table. And so it's really crypto growing up more than it is these other people.
He has to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve or else they turn on him?
I do think that that is a potential risk. And so, look, if you look at the administration, Trump owns Bitcoin and crypto. J.D. Vance owns Bitcoin, I believe. There's a lot of people in the administration. You just go through all the different roles that they've appointed people. And so these are Bitcoiners to a degree, or crypto holders that are.
Yeah, before they say the next part, I think that's funny because he's already stated publicly that he wants to make America the crypto capital of the world. That would by default mean there's a Bitcoin strategic reserve coming because nation states are going to begin most likely printing their fiat in exchange for Bitcoin. So a depreciating asset in exchange for an accretive asset. It only makes sense, folks.
That are going into the office, they're likely to go ahead and buy.
Well, they're going to get criticized for that.
They may get criticized for it, but also if you look at it right now, what is the United States doing? We're buying bonds, we're holding other assets. We have a president that's currently in office and also politicians who are literally day trading assets.
Yep, right.
And so it's no different, right? I think the big story of 2025 is going to be that crypto has now grown up and is part of the traditional financial system. And there's pros and cons to that, but now we have a seat at the table. You saw that in the political arena in terms of donations and influence, but you also now are going to see it in the financial arena, and that is going to be a huge tailwind, I think, for Bitcoin and crypto in 2025.
Does that include all crypto, or are we talking more Bitcoin when we talk about crypto?
I think that Bitcoin is the king. It will remain the king. I think that most of the capital flows from the traditional world are going into Bitcoin. There are going to be other assets that enter into the market. You obviously see the ETH ETF got approved. You'll probably see others that get approved as well. But
like Solana, XRP is coming.
The argument for anything other than Bitcoin is a very different one. That is a technology argument. Yes. It's no different than trying to pick between Amazon and Google and Facebook. The Bitcoin argument is much more akin to, do I want to protect my purchasing power? It's digital gold. And so that argument to me is much more reasonable for the government to say, hey, we're going to go and we're going to put this in our reserves. I don't think that the United States wants to get in the game of trying to pick tech winners or losers based on, the allocation of capital.
Stop right there. So real quick, Bitcoin is not really intended to be, at least in my opinion, a transactional agent, if you will. Bitcoin is a store of value like gold, except gold, you can dig up more gold and dilute what's out there in terms of supply, which drives down price. Bitcoin, you can't do that. There's essentially 14 to 15 million that will ever exist that are available, at least at this time. That's not going to change unless Satoshi unleashes his wallet, which We don't even know who or what that is. So just keep that in mind. There's a finite supply with a ton of demand and increasing demand at that.
Do you have a 1-year target for us on Bitcoin with and without the Bitcoin reserve?
With or without, we're going higher. I don't necessarily have a price, but I do think that if we go ahead and buy Bitcoin, what's interesting is we will not be the first country to do this. There's a lot of other countries who have already bought, they're mining, they're holding Bitcoin. What I do think is important, though, is America is the greatest capital market in the world. And so if America does it, it pretty much reduces all of the career risk, all of the critiques for all these other countries. And so, you know, Russia recently came out and they said, hey, we're mining Bitcoin. We're starting to use it in transactions. People are like, oh, that's Russia. You know, we kind of don't like them. And so they're kind of in the corner. People look at El Salvador and they're like, oh, that's El Salvador. I couldn't point it out on a map.
But if they're doing it, it makes more of a case if your enemies are doing it that you should be.
Well, look, the United States took a pretty drastic action in terms of the sanctions that they went after individuals, country, and also took some of the Russian assets and said, hey, we're going to give it to the Ukrainian people. When that happened, Bitcoiners came out and they said, you are actually going to further accelerate the demise of the U.S. dollar because now you have introduced this sanctions risk. There was a paper that came out of the Harvard Economics Department where they talked about, will countries now start to buy Bitcoin, not for price, not for the sovereignty, but actually as a sanctions hedge?
Russia.
And so Russia is actually doing that.
Yes.
Do you think they're the only one?
No.
I wouldn't bet on it.
I will say someone on this program on the network said the first 100K on Bitcoin was the easiest, and it could easily get to 200K by next.
No. The first 100K is the hardest. The next 100K is going to be much easier because now it's an institutional game. So that's just in my opinion, that is a truly false statement. I mean, look at how long it took us to get to 100,000. It's been almost 15, 16 years. The next 100K will come much faster. So that is incorrect.
Next year, I'm like, it took us this long to get to 100K, and you think 200K in the next year?
Some people are saying
Wild.
250.
I heard 500.
Unbelievable.
Well, if you guys just keep it, we'll just wait a couple minutes. You guys.
All right, we're good there. So let's go ahead and stop that. So that was very interesting from Cointelegraph there on that Fox Business interview with Mr. Popliano. The other article was this one here, which I actually have up here. It's really just celebrating some of the Bitcoin wins in 2024. Like I said, I won't read all the details, but just highlight them. So you can see the ETFs are here, of course, the biggest one being the BlackRock IBIT ETF. You got major institutions getting on the Bitcoin train. So you got the likes of Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. You got the Metador from Canada, Metaplanet from overseas. So they're all beginning to add Bitcoin to their treasuries. And these companies are led by very smart people, folks. You know, don't think they would be investing billions and billions of dollars if they didn't think this thing was going to be around in 3 years. So it's out there for everyone to see. Talk about some of the Bitcoin significant upgrades, like the Taproot upgrade, and I'll share this link to this article in the description, so y'all can come in here and do your deep dive if you would like, but we're not going to do that. There's obviously been some new applications like the runes, the ordinals, BRC20 tokens, etc. Again, not only do we have nations adding it to their balance sheets like El Salvador, like Russia, and some of the ones he mentioned in the video, but you also have states here in the U.S. beginning to pass legislation like Texas, etc. So the demand is increasing exponentially in a rapid period of time here. So limited supply, increasing demand. And then obviously they said look at the price. I mean, obviously we've gone from less than 20,000 up to 108,000. We're seeing a little bit of a retracement now, which will lead me into the chart for Bitcoin. This is the daily chart. And again, if you've been watching our videos, we've been doing several Bitcoin videos lately, looking at our chart and our system of indicators, which consist of 4 indicators, 2 that we pay for, and 2 that we created ourselves. And so these are our price action indicators up top, trend and momentum down here on the chart and right here as well. So again, you can see the momentum has been waning. We've been calling that out the last few days. We shifted to that negative downtrend back here on about, let's just call it this one, on the 19th. And we weren't able to quite reverse that trend, so we're continuing downward here. We're in a normalized range. Would expect to see that turn gray, then light green and dark green. Hopefully, that would be a great time to enter. Like you can see back here, when these things turn green, typically represents a potential bottom. But we use all these in conjunction, which seem to be pretty effective for our strategies. Doesn't mean it's effective for yours. So of course I got to show you the disclaimer, not financial advice. We just simply share information in our perspective, and hopefully that can lead you to making your own decision. But we do not tell you what to buy or when to buy, because we do not do that. But with that said, again, you can see it's kind of dropping down below that kind of what we would call exhaustion zone. Hopefully it comes on down to opportunity zone here. So we'll continue to watch Bitcoin over the next couple of days. At the end of the year, probably going to see some light volumes, which kind of leads me into fiat leak, just to kind of see what we're trading per minute here. And so it does look like obviously it's rapidly changing, but somewhere around 100 to maybe 120 Bitcoins a minute. So not too bad there. But with that, hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, share, subscribe. We're a new channel. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. Here's our channel there. Look for the logo, Trim Capital Partners. We share a lot of relevant news that honestly a lot of people don't share. So if you like crypto, please share the content, like it, hit the bell. We are going to start doing some live sessions where it's just an opportunity for viewers to come on in and share their thoughts on Bitcoin or any other crypto, whether you think it's overpriced, underpriced, why. Positive or negative comments are welcome. If you would like to see any particular asset, crypto or equity put through our charting system just for us to interpret what it's saying, we're more than happy to do so for free. So you can put those down in the comments, and we will look at that in preparation for either the live stream or just an upcoming video. So until next time, best wishes. Always remember, identify something that you believe in, trust your gut, and execute your strategy. We'll see you in the next one.